Houston Texans, to say the very least. You thought yesterday was active. Today was even more active. Started with Nick Caserio speaking. He had some interesting things to say. It then turned into Nick Caserio addressing some significant needs, some very significant needs, arguably the most impactful day of the offseason for Nick Caserio as the Texans look to improve their roster. And we're 1 week into this mofo. It seems like they've been doing this for a long time, but I mean, my goodness, the Texans, Texans doing some things. Get your comments in. It is the Locker Room, #1 source for Texans daily digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2, Sports Radio 610 and the Odyssey app. I've liked Nick Caserio's approach from the beginning of free agency. I like it even more today. I do think the mishandling of the Cook situation was something that needed to be at least addressed. The consequence might not be that bad, but regardless, man, Nick Caserio did a hell of a job, and no signing bigger than the signing of Dalton Schultz. Tied in 1 year, $9 million, up to $9 million, which is identical to what Ingram got last year with the Jacksonville Jaguars, where he had the best year of his career. So I look at this signing and I say it's just about opportunity. Like Nick Caserio talks about opportunity cost a lot, and I don't think they came into this offseason saying we're going to sign Dalton Schultz. There were reports out of Dallas that Schultz actually turned down a 3-year, $36 million deal, and Cowboys elected not to franchise tag him, and he went on the open market. For whatever reason, the tight end market was bare, and the Texans decided to just take advantage of the opportunity and sign Dalton Schultz, who, if you look at the last 3 seasons, and these are courtesy of Pelissaro, Schultz has 198 catches and 7 touchdowns the last 3 seasons. All the Texans tight ends combined have 207 catches and 20 touchdowns. So the tight end position, I don't want to say it's set. There could still be an opportunity where maybe one of these top 5 guys falls down to the 3rd round and you see them add more. But with Schultz, with Beck and the versatility that he brings, and with Quiteriano, the tight end position, I would say that you feel pretty decent about the tight end position. I don't know what Brevin Jordan's going to do. Quite honestly, I don't know what he's going to do, but there could be opportunity to address it. But as far as like us talking about, well, at 33, are they going to take a tight end? Probably not. That's probably not going to happen this year. So that's impactful. Also, the running back position, another position, you know how I feel about the way they've treated the running back position. It's basically been somewhat neglected, to say the very least. You bring in Devin Singletary, who is a 30-plus catch guy. He's had 29, 38, 40, and 38. 4.7 yards per carry, and he's rushed for 775, 687, 870, and 819. You can make a case, and I don't think it would be difficult to make the case, that the Texans right now, I still think that the Texans are going to add a running back and maybe another couple of backs going into camp. And I can understand Joe Blue right here in the comments, and get the comments in, keep it going. Everything's open. If it's topical, we'll get to it right away. If we need to address it a little later, we'll address it a little bit later. But I think you can make a case, and an easy case, that the Texans have the 2 best running backs on their roster right now that they've had the last 4 years, which really probably says more about the state of their running back position the last 4 years than it does anything. But that's where things are. And then, oh, by the way, I'm bringing in Cody Stutes in a second. I know he's sitting there, and he's going to be in a sec. My boy Cody Stutes. Then we're going to address that the Texans signed a center in Michael Deiter, and I don't know how Michael Deiter fits into things. He started, I think, 23 games the last 4 years. I don't think the center position is solved by any stretch of the imagination. Maybe he's one of those swing guys that can start at multiple positions, but the center position is still something that they're going to need to address. And I don't think they at all accomplished anything by signing Michael Deiter outside of bringing in another body in camp. Let's bring in Cody Stutz, hear what he has to say about all this. Stutzzy, what's up, man? Active day for Nick Caserio. I would say a very productive day. I would say that the tight end position, area of strength, strongest the tight end position has been, maybe going back to when Fedorowicz and Griffin, we thought that they were going to be a decent duo before Fedorowicz couldn't stay healthy. And, Griff just kind of drifted away a little bit. I would say you feel good about the tight end position. Running back position, best that it's been probably in the last 4 years, still got to be a lot better. And the center position, meh. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Michael Deiter is really even that much better than Quessenberry at this point. We'll see what happens and how Quessenberry looks when he comes in, but that's just my takeaway from the day. What say you?
Nick Caserio has checked every box I wanted him to check in free agency with the exception of center. I wanted a veteran next to Jalen Petrie. I got a veteran next to Jalen Petrie. I wanted some wide receiver help, got some wide receiver help. I wanted some running back help, got some running back help. I wanted something fun. Dalton Schultz is something fun. I didn't expect him to pursue one of the top free agents in the market. And say what you will about who Dalton Schultz is or most free agency rankings had him as one of the 25 best players in free agency. I mean, they got one of the best 25 players in free agency on a one-year deal for way less than his market projection. And Spotrac projected this guy to make $15 million a year at the end of his contract. Like, start with like 13 and jump up to like 15 or 16 at the end of his contract. And they got him for $9 million. And I know there's some people that don't love the one-year commitment, but hey, newsflash, if he's doing really good in the middle of the season, they can extend him in the middle of the season.
Or see Evan Ingram with the Jags. You can franchise tag him like Jacksonville did and then figure something out. This was the Schultz thing is, someone asked me, does this prevent them from getting a tight end in the draft? I would say, like, if you were sitting there saying they're going to take one at 33, I don't see that happening. Now, if something crazy happens in round 3, and let's say Kincaid or Washington or one of those guys fall to the 3rd round where you have multiple picks, maybe you just say F it and you just stock up on tight ends. But I don't think at 33 that that's going to happen. Much love, Matt. Appreciate you very much, Matt.
I believe they would Mechie a tight end. Like, if they felt like a guy started to come down into the 2nd round.
Say that again.
I believe they would Mechie a tight end. So how they came back in for Mechie into the 2nd round. Yeah. So if a guy that they really, really like started to slip in the 2nd round, I could see them jumping in and grabbing that guy. But the goal here, it feels like in free agency, is to make sure that they're not, with the exception maybe of center, they're not forced to do any certain thing outside of QB at 2. Like, whatever they do at 12 probably needs to be an edge defender if that guy's available. I mean, I wouldn't push it. I wouldn't reach for the guy. But, like, whatever they want to do with that 2nd first-round pick feels like it probably needs to be an edge defender. But if you told me it was Jackson Smith and Jigba, I'd be over the moon with that. With the 33rd pick. Hey, probably if you go wide receiver in the 1st round with the other pick to go with the quarterback, probably need to go. That's what they've done. They've kept themselves from getting boxed in. Like, a couple of weeks ago, I would have told you they really need to spend one of those top 5 picks on a tight end because there's just not anybody of note there. Well, now with Schultz, if you want to get one of these guys who's got some upside but maybe can't play right away, you got some options there. You could do the same thing with running back. Like, if you feel like a guy was not going to be ready day 1 to be the complement to Dameon Pierce, but you feel like, oh, well, next year he's going to be ready, you can take that selection at running back. I feel like what I felt like today, Landry, and this is a super specific point on the running back, to me it just felt like they're going to draft Deuce Vaughn if they have one of those spots there at the back part of the draft, 5th round, move around in the 4th round, wherever Deuce Vaughn goes. It feels like they're going to draft Deuce Vaughn because he may not be able to help you right away right now, but he's in the room. He learns a little bit. They figure out how to use him in some gadget plays, some special stuff, and then boom, he's a part of the mix next year. Like they've got a little bit.
I think he can play right away.
They've got a little bit more play with them. And by the way, I want people to come in and beat these veterans out. Like I would love for somebody to come in and supplant Devin Singletary at the running back spot. Hell, Dameon Pierce did the same thing last year, came in as a fourth rounder, finished camp as a starter. I'd love for somebody to come in and beat out the centers that are on the roster right now, beat out everybody that's not Dalton Schultz for spots at tight end, beat out everybody that's not Robert Woods at wide receiver. Like I'd love for something like that to happen. Like they've got play where they're not boxed into any certain move, with the exception of quarterback at 2.
Yeah, I think it's going to be adjusting. Like I think that's kind of the sign, and I think the flexibility is interesting because it's not really a stiff plan for Nick Caserio. Like this, do you agree that the Dalton Schultz thing was just an adjustment? It was basically like, damn, the market. Oh, we can get that guy for 1 year, $9 million. Let's go do it. Like that. That's what that was with Dalton Schultz, and that's what they ended up doing. And I don't think that was an initial plan. I don't think they were going to give him a 3-year, $36 million deal. I think they looked at it and said, okay, this is a good opportunity. And that's what they did.
Once the Tunsil and Cooks moves were in the book and you got a little bit more money to play with, I wonder if they just looked around and said, hey, what's something fun we can do with this money? Who's out there? Is there a guy we really like? And maybe it's Caserio talking to the scouting department, talking to D'Amico, or, hey, D'Amico, which one of these guys you really like? Well, I like that Schultz guy. Okay, I've had to try to defend him a couple of times here the past few seasons, and it actually was kind of a tough matchup. All right, well, let's see if we can get him. Boom, Schultz gets, which by the way, Schultz is like the number 2 guy at that agency that he's got. I don't know. He got some bad info if he turned down a multi-year deal. That's a bad deal. He got some bad. It's him, Ertz, and Brevin Jordan are represented by that agency.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you bring up a good point with D'Amico. You remember how it was always kind of a running joke with the Texans where it was like, oh man, well, Lamar Miller had a good game against the Texans, so they're going to go sign Lamar Miller.
Chris Polk was the best one ever. It was the only game Chris Polk was good the previous season, and then O'Brien had to have him on the team.
And then you had Schultz. D'Amico's had to prepare for Schultz in 2 straight playoff games. Actually had a touchdown, I think, in this year's playoff game. So I'm sure that D'Amico likes it. There's really not a lot to not like. I mean, he's a solid receiver. He actually improved as a blocker. Not a great blocker. Not great. He's not great at blocking, but he's not terrible, and he did improve.
Here's the important thing about Schultz, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I know a whole hell of a lot about how tight ends needs to be used from a blocking standpoint, but Pro Football Focus made this little note in his free agency profile. He had a stretch this past season where he blocked a lot more than he usually did, and in that stretch, I think it was a 5-6 week stretch, he was the 3rd best blocking tight end for those 5-6 weeks. And you know that old saying we hear from coaches a lot of times, if you show me you can do it once, I'm going to figure out how to get you to do it all the time. So I wonder if there's a thought process like, hey, we can coach this guy up and we can use him for some of the blocking that we need. But you bring up Beck. Beck's a guy that's going to help them with the blocking. Quateriano's a guy that can help with the blocking from his size. And who knows what they might have in there. I mean, remember, Anthony Auclair ended up on this team as a blocking tight end out of nowhere. So who knows what guy may show up in training camp and block his way onto the roster.
Shout out to Eastside out there. Mr. Robot, Nick's having a better year as a GM. Man, it's been a week of free agency. We're already saying this, but it feels like a different GM. Probably the whole operation is more cohesive than years past. I also think it's a fluid situation where the situation's probably a little bit different than it's been in the past. So I do think there is that. We haven't even talked about the Tunsil extension and the Cooks trade. Do you have any takes? My takes, I put the videos out. Just to summarize, I think the Tunsil extension well done. I think the Cooks handling of Cooks, if you go back from the extension to now, I think it was piss poor in many areas. I know we can get over the semantics of what was offered last year. And even if you give Nick the benefit of the doubt on that, it was still a complete mishandle. But maybe there's going to be minimal consequence for it, but I don't even think, he can't say that he handled Brandin Cooks the right way going back to the extension to yesterday, but that's kind of my take on it. I also think, and I know we've kind of known this, you know how sometimes something's coming, but then whenever you actually see it, you're like, yeah, that looks a little worse than I thought it would. The wide receiver position, they need to get one early. They need to get one at 12. I think that whether it's a running back or a receiver, they need to get I'll put it this way. They need to get a wide receiver with one of the top 3 picks, and maybe you can do something else at 12, but they need to add a decent upside receiver.
Man, if we're calling this the weapons that they have at wide receiver, you can get through TSA with this crew. It is not the most dangerous thing. What?
How long you been waiting for that one?
I was waiting for you to set me up so I can knock it down.
Good God.
They've got I would think they're going to add 2 wide receivers in the draft. A high value, high target guy, and then someone super late that's got some upside. There's just not a lot of free agent wide receivers to bring in. There's really not. Odell ain't coming here. I don't even know if Odell can play anymore. He sure makes a good workout video, but I don't know if he can play anymore. I didn't want Jacoby Myers. I do wonder from a Bobby Slowick standpoint and the way this offense runs, people seem to be extremely concerned with the fact that Jackson Smith and Jigba played a lot of inside and played a lot of slot at Ohio State. And I made this point the other day. He played slot when Olave and Wilson were on the team because they couldn't do what he was doing. And if you can get open, you can get open. Like if Olave and Wilson weren't on the team, Jackson Smith and Jigba would have played outside. Or if one of those guys could play slot as good as he did, he'd have been outside. But that was as much as it was about maximizing him, it was about maximizing them too. Just the praise that they've heaped on him, the stats and stuff that he showcased. I really like him at number 12. It just could be – you could have a lot of fun with that offense.
I think he's going to be special. I think he's going to be the best receiver.
And from a matchup perspective, Jackson Smith and Jigba inside outside, John Mechie inside outside in college, Robert Woods inside outside. Bobby Slowick could get on the whiteboard and draw up some really fun stuff with these wide receivers if you added Jackson Smith and Jigba to this crew. Let's see how talented beautiful Bobby is.
Yeah, I think if Jackson Smith and Jigba or Bijan Robinson's there, I think you do that and your quarterback's set. Like your quarterback's coming into about as friendly of a situation as I think one could hope for. So that would be mine. By the way, appreciate I kept saying that Schultz had 7 touchdowns the last 3. It's 17. So 17 for him, 20 total for the Texans. So there it is right there. So I appreciate the keeping me on my toes on that. 17 touchdowns, and the Texans have had 20 together. That's outlandish.
17 touchdowns in the regular season to go along with 3 playoff touchdowns as well. So 20, yeah. So 20 in the last 3 seasons.
Just incredibly decent opportunity, and I appreciate one unstoppable beast for holding me to that.
And here's another thing about Dalton Schultz. He's 26 years old. He'll be 27 this season. Guys aren't done at 27. Like, you can continue to get better. You could be like, he's not a finished product. There's a chance that there's a little bit more to Dalton Schultz's game than what we have seen. Now, more than likely, he's hit his peak, but if he's a little bit better than he has been the past couple of seasons, you're getting a real steal.
I mean, even if he's okay, you're getting good value there.
He's the best tight end that's been on the team since Owen Daniels, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Owen Daniels hasn't played in a very long time.
That was a long time ago, sir.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago. Let's look at just where the offense is at. And you tell me, like, let's be realistic. Let's not do the whole thing where we say, compare it to other situations, but let's just break down how we feel about the offense. Let's focus on the offense for this. The QB situation, and I'm only putting guys that I think are going to have a chance to do something. I'm not putting John Perry's nephew on this list. I'm sorry. I don't even like mentioning John Perry's name, honestly.
I wonder why Davis is even on this list.
So we have Davis Mills and Case Keenum. How do you feel about this QB situation? And we do gotta also keep in mind that you're gonna have a quarterback most likely come in at 2. So you got to feel decent about the quarterback situation.
I feel great if it's Bryce. I feel good if it's CJ Stroud. And then I have some extreme skepticism if it's any of the other 2 quarterbacks, either Anthony Richardson or Will Levis. I don't like Will Levis at all. Like, I can be lulled into blindly only seeing the good in Anthony Richardson, but it ain't there for Will Levis. It's never going to be there for me on Will Levis.
You could be sold on Anthony Richardson?
I would have a healthy amount of skepticism about Anthony Richardson if he was the selection. Like, it's you must have known or thought that you had a couple of geniuses running the offense if that's going to be the guy. You feel really good. That's a get you fired pick. Somebody's gonna get fired because they picked him, or someone's gonna get a contract.
And I hope it's,
or someone's gonna get a contract extension.
I hope it's Shane Steichen.
Yeah. I mean, Steichen very well. I mean, the tough part is you can move on from a QB after 2 years. It's not hard to do. The Jets are doing it right now. The Cardinals moved on from a guy after 1 year. Now that wasn't a top 4 pick, but the QB room. I feel great if it's Bryce. I feel good if it's Stroud. And then I'm a little worried if it's anybody else.
All right. So, and I've gotten a couple texts about this. Why are you already ready to punt on Davis Mills? Why would you not want to give Davis Mills a chance to maybe be on the roster and, I don't know, be in the quarterback room? Why are you so out on him?
Because I watched the 2022 season. He threw passes Yao Ming couldn't catch.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be offended by it, but I'm not. I mean, if he goes to camp, I'm not going to be like disgusted.
If you told me, hey, Davis Mills with this current offensive group would play better, I'd say, yeah, no duh. But how much better can Davis Mills be than what he showcased? Like, he hasn't been. Caserio has hammered home the C word. Consistency. Davis Mills lacks it. He's never been consistent in his career. Never.
Jerome T, appreciate you. What if it's Anderson at 2 and they run with Mills and Keenum to try to get Caleb or Drake next season? Would be a disaster in my opinion. Yeah, I think thinking ahead to your quarterback next season would be a natural disaster, especially if Bryce Young is there. I would still have Bryce Young as QB1 next year, but maybe I'm probably a little bit more of a Bryce guy than a lot of people are. But I don't think you need to look ahead. I do think other teams are. I think Tampa Bay is. I think the Raiders are. I think the Falcons are. I think they're already looking ahead to next year, but I don't think the Texans should be one of those teams.
Well, I mean, look, we're talking about this offseason that we really like so far. Jimmy Ward, we really believe in DeMeco Ryans and the other additions. The offensive line got better. They upgraded at right guard. And we're talking about all this, okay? And we like DeMeco Ryans and we believe in him. And you potentially are going to add 12 draft picks, including 5 in the first 2 days. And somehow, some way, people think you're going to be worse than the team that was on the field this past year that couldn't even get the number 1 pick. Like, the logic that you're putting together and trying to get a Caleb Williams or a Drake May just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And there's going to be a multitude of teams that will outrace you to the bottom, just like happened last year.
All right, the running backs. So decent about the quarterback position. You're also putting the rookie quarterback in likely, I think, a decent position. The running back position, Dameon Pierce and Devin Singletary.
Oh, no love for Daria Gumbawale?
No.
Okay.
No. None.
I would like a 3rd or 4th round selection at running back added to these guys. And I would also like Deuce Vaughn wherever you can get him. And I'd like the running back room to be Dameon Pierce, Devin Singletary, rookie, and Deuce Vaughn.
Okay.
That would be my thought. This is a solid enough duo that if Bobby Slowick runs the offense really well and this offensive line takes a big jump forward, like Kenyon Green's way better, we know what Shaq is at right guard, and then we know what the tackles are, and they figure out center, and it's in a better situation. If that's the case, they should be able to run the ball really effectively. Like, I'm not saying like one of the best rushing offenses in football, not by any means, but could you find yourself in the top 20? Like, that's not out of the question. Like, you've got a running back room, especially if you add a
20 rushing.
Yeah, that's not out of the question. Like, I'm not asking them to move heaven and earth to get in the top 20 for rushing. Like, Singletary and Pierce could do that.
I still think if there's opportunity with those first 3 picks, or I should say 2nd and 3rd pick, then, or in the 3rd round, I would still look at a running back. And I think you could potentially even get your best running back there. Which is not a knock on Dameon Pierce. I just think there's a big opportunity there. But we know the names there, Bijan and Gibbs. But I agree with you. I would say these are the 2 best running backs. These are the 2 best running backs they've had in the last 4 years, which says more about their running back situation in the last 4 years. Like, Singletary, is he better than Carlos Hyde? Like, I would say yes.
Your Carlos Hyde had a random 1,000-yard season. So
and then what do you do after that?
Well, that's my point really about these 2 guys at running back. Offense clicks, offensive line plays well. You could rattle off a really impressive rushing attack compared to what you've been doing. Like, they have to get 500 more rushing yards than they did last year. To get 500 more rushing yards than they did last year, to get basically in the top 20. You know, just rough stats here real quick. That's about an extra 35 yards a game. Like, that's super doable. God, please be super doable.
Tight end position, strong as it's been in a long time. Long time. Very strong. You got one of the better receivers in Dalton Schultz. You got a guy that showed you a lot more than you expected last year, that probably going to get better in Quiteriano. And you got kind of the blocking, deceptive receiving, versatile guy in Beck. Wide receiver.
They're definitely drafting a tight end.
Later.
Yes. I don't know that it'd be a priority unless a awesome guy falls, but they're definitely drafting a tight end.
Yeah, the tight end run's going to be interesting. It's going to be hard to predict. That's going to be one of the big draft storylines. Like, when does it happen? Bobby Woods, Noah Brown, Nico Collins, John Mechie, not great. Not a lot of explosiveness either. So when you talk about like the Smith and Jigba, like they need some explosion. That could come in the form of Smith and Jigba. That could come in the form of Addison. That could come in the form of Bijan Robinson or Gibbs, giving you another element. But this offense needs explosion, because that might be the slowest receiving core that I've ever seen.
I don't know that they would necessarily go wide receiver 12, wide receiver 33. But if you went Jackson Smith and Jigba at 12 and then used one of the third round picks on, say, Jalen Hyatt, you get a lot more dynamic. You get a lot more dynamic from that standpoint. Hyatt's very fast. Hyatt is Will Fuller-esque in that he runs really fast in a straight line.
And some people looked at that as like an insult, and I'm like, that I'll take Will Fuller.
Yeah, like he ran really fast in a straight line. He can get open, and every now and then he's going to drop one that he probably should catch. Like, that's Hyatt.
See Royal throwing out the name Zay Flowers. Would you take Zay Flowers at 12? I know you like him, but damn.
I really like Zay Flowers. I couldn't take him at 12. I couldn't take him at 12. I can't take a guy that size at 12. I think he's 5'9". Like, you're going to draft the smallest first two picks ever. Like, you're going to have Bryce and that guy. That'd be the shortest first two selections ever by a team.
Well, that
is stats and info.
Now you got a guy in Woods who can do some of the intermediate stuff. He's obviously on the back end of his career. You got a guy in Brown who can, he can make some plays for you. I look at him more like in the Jennings role than San Francisco. You got Nico who you can't rely on. And you got Mechie. Mechie's never been someone who's taken the top off the defense or anything.
He can get open, but it's not something like we always heard about how defenses have to account for Will Fuller's speed and they build that into the game plan. Like, that's not what you do for Mechie. Like, he can get open deep and he can get open deep from the slot, but it's not like a safety's an extra 5 yards back because Mechie's on the field.
People are asking about Brevin Jordan. Yeah, I didn't mention Brevin Jordan for a reason. We'll see what happens with that. I'm not going to count on him being there. Jerome's asking about Boutte at 33. I think he might last longer than that. I don't know what's up with that dude. Ooh. I have no clue. Just the way that he announced his arrival in the draft was strange. I don't know what has happened to Boutte, but for some reason, like, as the process has gone on, there is more and more and more and more like people that it almost seems like he's getting ignored. Like, people aren't even mentioning Boutte.
I would tell you this. It is more likely he goes undrafted than he gets drafted at 33. Like, that's how bad this offseason has been for him. He had a horrible combine. The interview rumors about him are not good. The rumors leaving LSU about him are not good. I have a hard time thinking that Brian Kelly's given him a positive review when teams reach out for an analysis of the guy. Just, he's going to have a rough. I hope he doesn't have a draft party planned for Thursday or Friday.
And it's not like a George Pickens slide where like the film is like first round film. It's kind of it's where there was some unrealized potential on the film, and then there's all these extra question marks. It's not like a George Pickens type of situation. So no. Yeah. The offensive line. Obviously you want a center, but you got Tunsil, you got Howard, you got Mason, you got Kenyon Green, and then I'm going to say the center is to be determined. They didn't sign a quality starting center today. That's something that will probably be addressed in the draft.
The guy played 0 offensive snaps last year. Like, he got into 17 games on special teams. Like, I've seen, he was a reserve. I saw the writing today. He was a reserve player. Yeah. He was so reserved he didn't get on the field when they were on offense.
Yeah.
By the way, can I tell you something here real quick, by the way?
Tell me whatever you want.
By the way. So, Deiter, the fellow that they drafted here, signed today, guy they signed.
Third round pick a couple of years ago.
A third round pick. He actually has better college accolades than this Minnesota kid that everybody's fawning all over, this Schmitz kid. That everybody's like, oh, the Texans, 33, John Michael Jacob Jingleheimer Schmitz. Okay. Like, okay. All-American in college, Deiter, 2-time first-team All-Big Ten, and Big Ten Offensive Lineman of the Year. I saw somebody put a graphic up about Schmitz, all the stuff he's got. That doesn't matter. Okay, Deiter had all that crap, and he's bigger and was stronger.
Brown Chubby Bear gave Deiter a damn graphic and said, Houston, you have a center.
Well, that's because Brown Chubby Bear hates Scott Quessenberry. That's one of the biggest feuds in Texans Twitter. It's Brown Chubby Bear versus Scott Quessenberry.
Do you think we're too hard on old Scott? I mean, I'm not saying that he's great.
Yes, of course we're too hard on him.
I mean, I know he sucked last year, but you didn't expect him to be a starting center. Kenyon Green stunk. Like, as much as we say, well, Kenyon Green could benefit from a center, let's be honest. It couldn't have been easy to play next to his ass last year. If we're just being fair, it couldn't have been that easy to line up with your left shoulder pressing on 59 last year.
My favorite part is people put the same 2 Scott Quessenberry plays out there, and like how he gets like mauled for like these 2 plays, and I see that clip all the time, and then nobody puts any of the times where Kenyon Green was used as a tackling dummy on Twitter.
All right, here's a good question from
great question.
Anthony. Appreciate you. What player dropping makes you trade up from 12? Tyree Wilson.
Yep. Yes. You stole the answer right out of my way.
Tyree Wilson. I mean, if you used a couple of those extra 3s or whatever to trade up a few spots, I would say Tyree Wilson would be my guy.
The tough part is you're gonna need a Herculean effort to have Tyree Wilson slide to you, and pretty much everybody in front of you that's not taking a quarterback could use Tyree Wilson.
I mean, I could see and I'm not predicting this at all, but stranger things have happened than, let's say, Tyree Wilson going before Will Anderson. Like, I wouldn't bet on it, but I'm saying stranger things, like on draft day, stranger things have happened than that.
Last year it happened. Travon Walker should have never gone in front of Aiden Hutchinson. Travon Walker went in front of Aiden Hutchinson. It should. Strange things happen all the time. No, I'm with you.
Oh, I like this one. I like this one. Go ahead. Keep going, though.
And then if you have, let's say you go QB 1 through 4. Okay, well then Will Anderson's off the board. There's 5 players. So now you're into Detroit, Vegas, Atlanta area. Maybe you could get on the board with Detroit. I mean, you could call them and, hey, how about Tyree Wilson for this pick and an extra? Then you walk out of the first
multiple first too.
You walk out of the first round with Bryce Young and Tyree Wilson.
Come on,
I'm throwing a damn party.
Come on,
I'm throwing a pizza party, and we'll get pizza from all 3 chains.
Oh man, the chain pizza party. I'm a big fan of that. Go with the Domino's pie, the Pizza Hut pie, and the Papa John's pie. I've done that. Yep. Me and my wifey have done that. Jerome T. Green asks, if Jalen Carter is at 12 and so is Jackson Smith and Jigba, who do you pick?
I know my answer.
My answer is I take Jackson Smith and Jigba. I like Jalen Carter, but 11 teams passed on him for a reason. You have decent depth at interior D-line, and I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to be one of the 5 best players in this draft. I think he is the best receiver in this draft. I think you need guys like him. I don't know that either one of those guys gets there. So I think if either one of them are there, maybe you're excited. Although the Jalen Carter thing's getting really weird, man. It's getting really weird.
It's Jackson Smith and Jigba for me, and this is really easy for me to pick, actually. I do not trust Jalen Carter between the ears right now. I do not trust him between the ears.
Or the belly.
This is a guy that at the conclude after an incredible football season, he was a part of, and yeah, the legal stuff, it's not about the legal stuff. He was a part of an incident where 2 people he knows got killed. And when he drove away from that accident, he might have assumed that 3 people he knew got killed. Ultimately, 2 people passed away in that wreck. Third was a teammate of his that was also injured. But that's got to be something that weighs on him in this process. And then the weirdness of the combine combined with now that's the first thing every team wants to talk about. So he relives it over and over again. And then when you're not correct between the ears in this draft process, you have stuff like the pro day happen where he can't even finish the pro day. Like like we were giving Jordan Davis a hard time about his wind last year. Well, you know how you can really lose your wind? You gained a couple extra pounds because you got guilt for everything that's occurred here in the offseason. And you're just in your own head because now, you know, you got to be damn near perfect on the field because everybody wants to know about all this off the field stuff. And so I don't trust him between the ears. I wish the kid nothing but the best. One event should never define somebody, or you should hope that it would never define you. But this is going to be something tough for him to overcome from a mental standpoint. And that's just not something I want to sign up for.
The bigger problem for me, and I don't like the mistake that he made. I mean, I don't know what exactly he did. I know that kids do dumb things at the age of 20, and I'm not going to judge anyone for doing anything like that. Even based on like what we know and what we don't know, showing up 9 pounds overweight at your pro day after that went down is just that to me, and not being able to get through the drills is, I don't want to say more discouraging because I don't know what happened, but it's at least just as discouraging because, I mean, what
you would,
how does that happen?
You would think he would draw everything into football. That's the escape. That's where I'm not under, that's where I'm not under as much scrutiny is on the field, between the lines, doing the drills, working out. Like the gym and getting ready for all this should have been his escape. And you wonder if the whole situation has just gotten to him that it's now affected the on-the-field product. But Landry, you've talked to coaches. You've been around people who've been in this game. They want people who live, eat, sleep, breathe football. That's the only thing they got going on. That's the only thing they care about. And if 2 guys are the exact same talent level and one guy seems to care a little bit more, they'll take the guy that cares more. Like, they do not like weakness in the NFL. The evaluators, the coaches, the GMs, they don't like weakness. They don't like to see a crack in the armor. And that's what we saw from Jalen Carter. And it's a ruthless business, but they don't like to see weakness. And he displayed some weakness here in this offseason. And it's hurt him. It's hurt his draft stock.
Yeah, and who knows how much he falls. I mean, we were talking about, are the Bears even going to want to trade, past 2 to get him? And I mean, they're going to have to make a decision, and I don't even know it's foregone conclusion they take him at 9 now.
I'd be I don't want to say stunned. I'd be pleasantly surprised if the Eagles do not select him at 10. That feels like the organization and the locker room that would put him right on the straight and narrow. They'd take care of him. He'd have a teammate that he played college ball with on that team. He'd have some veterans in there like Brandon Graham on the defensive line, Jason Kelsey on the offensive line to help him out. So I'd be surprised if the Eagles don't select him at 10.
M. Aaron's talking about, I don't know the guy's name, but he had the worst combine in NFL history and is a star player. Talking about Orlando Brown. who the Ravens took, by the way, after the Texans took Martinez Rankin. Ravens also took Mark Andrews in that same round. That was the round where the Texans got Akins and Martinez Rankin. But yeah,
and
Orlando
Justin
Brown
Reed.
And Justin Reed, which not bad. But
Orlando Brown bounced back from the combine, though, with a better pro day.
Yeah, and
there's no more bouncing back for Carter. There's no more workouts.
No, he's not. I mean, he's gonna fall, man. It's just a matter of
he's also let's be really clear here. He's also a defensive tackle. Like there was this movement here for a couple of years in the NFL about, oh, well, guards and centers so important. And then the Colts gave $80 million to a guard, and they were one of the worst teams in football, and that guy didn't play very well, and their entire offensive line fell apart. Like, there's one Aaron Donald, guys. There's one. Like, there's not going to be another Aaron Donald showing up in a couple of years. This guy's not Aaron Donald. So, draft edge guys. Do it like it's always been done. Dominate from the edge. Let's not overrate this defensive tackle stuff.
B. Rio says Carter is Tunsil 2.0. He's too talented for us to pass up if he's available at 12. Tunsil smoked weed out of a gas mask. Like, I mean, I smoked weed out of a gas mask in college. Like, it was, I mean, I don't know. Most of my friends have smoked weed out of a gas mask. If I'm just being honest. Shout out to Francis.
I am not one of those friends, by the way.
Yeah, you have not. But I mean, that he got blackmailed by someone that was just trying to take advantage of him. Like it's not like he had like a bad draft process or anything like that.
Also, Laremy Tunsil plays left tackle. It's more valuable than defensive tackle.
I didn't know you're so anti-D tackle. So
it's just the quickest way to the quarterbacks, defensive tackle. Yeah, they're also the slowest guys. Like, and they're also the guys that get in the most traffic. Like, give me the freak that can win on the edge and can go out there and change the game by beating the tackle.
G-Neg said that happened the night before the draft. No, it happened way before the draft. The picture leaked because it was on his computer. But and who cares? Like he was smoking marijuana before the draft. Like with that, I wanted to trade up for him. Honestly, he probably could have gotten the Tunsil deal from me. As soon as I saw that gas mask, he went up to number 1 on my board. I'm being honest.
I think it's Mike Tannenbaum was the Dolphins general manager that drafted him, correct? Tannenbaum tells a really good story about how he doesn't say it, but he basically says we didn't care. He was awesome.
We got some requests. Appreciate the supers, by the way. The requests are, would you like to do a mock draft right now? Are you down with the mock draft right now, Stutz?
Oh, you gonna pull the screen up? We're gonna go to the Pro Football Focus Simulator.
Yeah, you down?
Yeah, let's do it. Come on.
Hopefully this isn't like who. All right, there's an easy question for this. This should probably take you about 8 seconds to answer before we get this. I'll get it on the screen right now. Who has the worst mock drafts on Texans Twitter and online?
Oh, it's Brown Chubby Bear.
God,
they're so bad.
God, he makes me lose my voice. Like, I see his mock drafts. Shout out to BCB, and I'm like, good God, I would be screaming the next day if those drafts came through. Good Lord, that was rough. We need teams to draft for need more. I don't like this, like, don't draft for need. You got to be, like, somewhat realistic. Randomness, let's go a little bit less.
Well, you just jumped it up for more there.
Yeah, I meant more.
Okay.
No, less. Damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go less.
A little bit more on the list. A little bit more. A little bit, yeah, randomness. Yeah, just a little bit. Teams do some goofy stuff. No, right there is perfect. No, right there's good. Right there's good.
Okay. Public versus PFF board.
I like the public a little bit more. PFF's kind of weird.
All right, so let's enter the draft. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Here we go.
We're doing no trades, right?
No trades. Come on.
Okay. All right. That's also one of the weirder things about mock drafts is all these weird trades. Damn it.
All right. So the Carolina Panthers were lying.
Damn it.
They took Bryce Young. Okay. Well, I'm already pissed.
Start over. Hit the reset button. I don't like this.
Yeah, let's reset this. I'm not. Get the hell out of here with that.
They're not taking freaking Bryce. Maybe you got to knock up the PFF board. They're not taking Bryce in Carolina.
Why do I got to knock up the PFF board? What does that do?
Because I don't think PFF has Bryce as high as the public does. I feel like the public has Bryce higher than the
So
PFF.
knock the PFF high or knock the public?
Knock the public down, the PFF board higher.
So right here?
I still see the Google page. I don't know. Also, use Bing. What are you, 90? Surprised you didn't go to Ask Jeeves.
We are so Bryce that we can't even fathom it. It's
we just hit the reset button like it was Super Nintendo.
I'm so disgusted
because we couldn't get Bryce.
I'm so disgusted that I can't. So you want me to knock this down or up?
No. Other way. I think a little bit more on. Yeah. Right there should be good.
So more towards PFF.
Yeah, a little bit more towards PFF, maybe. Just a little
Okay.
bit, just a little tinge more. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, draft for need, randomness. Okay. All right. Yeah, this looks good. Gotta go click the Texans. Yeah, here we go.
All right. Here we go.
Here we go.
They're going to take them again because they're not dumb. They're not as dumb as we think. There you go.
Son of a.
All right, let's just do it. Let's go.
Look, I know you and I have disagreed on this, but it's got to be CJ Stroud.
Got to be.
It's got to be. We about to be Buckeye South here, baby.
You know what? I'm restarting this again.
Just be the Panthers, and then just make the Bryce Young pick, or make the.
I don't want to live like this. I don't want to live like this, dude. It's more public, so you go public.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Public. Make sure
I'm going to cancel this.
No. Make sure you get us at least through the third round. Yeah, 7's good for me too. All right. This is. Boy, how many times have I hit? Son of a bitch.
I'm out of here.
It's just.
All right.
Let's just do it with Stroud.
Right,
okay.
We'll take CJ. All right, there you go. Hope you people are happy.
Oh, Jackson Smith and Jigba.
People.
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Jackson Smith and Jigba. So we got the CJ Stroud JSN going. Okay. Ooh, 33. Good night.
A lot going on here.
Do we need some defense?
Yeah, I like the did my guy already get drafted?
Damn, Baltimore got Bijan.
Oh my goodness. How sick would they be?
Okay. All right. I'm taking Gibbs. I don't care what you say.
Wow.
Screw you.
I would have taken the kid from USC, the defensive lineman.
Screw you.
Oh, got to draft the Ohio State center.
What?
Yeah. They don't have a center.
Okay.
Now we're Buckeye South, baby.
All right.
We are not the Buckeye South.
We need some defense, man.
Yeah, we need some defense really bad, unless one of these tight ends is sick.
Little Tomlinson action, though. Little Tomlinson action.
Oh man, it's tough to spin that pick on a guy that's maybe not on the field right away. What do you think about this Army kid?
God.
When Kuiper did his it was either his mock draft or his big board right after the draft last year, the Carter kid was a top 10 pick for him and McShay last year.
You know what?
Everyone in the country knew that was the only guy that was NFL potential in Army, and they schemed against him.
You didn't sell me. I'm taking Tank Dell. There you go. 2 receivers.
All right, you hate the United States and you hate the troops. Good
we
to
need
know.
some explosion, bro.
All right, so we don't have so screw the defense. D'Amico's going to have to coach him up, huh?
Dude, we take Tomlinson now.
Hold on, let me see if there's a defensive lineman. Go down.
Come on, man.
Go down. All right, there's not. So take whoever the hell you want.
Tomlinson. There we go.
Okay. We thought about him at the last pick. He's still there. That's kind of an auto. That's an auto snag. That's a good
finally
point.
there. There you go.
All right, thanks, Jack, for the forfeited pick.
Oh, we had to forfeit that one, huh? Here we go.
You know more about that Texas guy than I do.
Yeah.
All right, Louisville's got 2 unique name defensive linemen.
Okay.
Nothing's jumping off the page to me here. Maybe this linebacker kid from I think Deuce already went.
Yeah, Deuce is gone.
Where'd he go?
People. Smart people don't know.
Oh, man.
You want to take the Louisville edge guy?
I like the other guy, I think, more.
Okay. Yaya. There you go.
Yaya is just a more fun name.
Let's go with Yaya. 8.
Man, this has been a fun draft. I don't know if it's the most productive draft we've ever
When
had.
have we said – who said Zay Flowers is too small?
I did.
Oh, okay. And then you take Tank Dell as the thing.
I didn't draft Tank Dell. I was trying to get a defensive lineman.
Yeah, I drafted him. All right, we gotta go with this at this point.
Oh, yeah.
I held off as much as I could.
Oh, you just take the Texas guy?
He's been
Caserio's. There's no way Caserio's making fun. Take the Old Dominion tight end. The Old Dominion tight end. He's a freak.
Oh my God.
He's a freak.
Oh my God.
This
all went to hell as soon as we had to take CJ.
This scroll down.
Good Lord.
What about the NC State guard?
Dude. And now this is
Bobo. Bobo's good. I like Jake Bobo. We drafted too many wide receivers.
Yeah, we're good on that. What the hell are you thinking there? We need a linebacker.
The Tulane kid still at the top? Yes.
Yeah, we'll go. He's a smart guy. Let's go with him.
Tulane had a nice season.
Yeah, smart guy right there. High character. Good guy.
Is this the last selection we have? No, we got 260 still.
2 more.
Take another running back.
Safety. Let's get the safety.
Okay. All right. Little Jimmy Ward coaches him up a little bit here.
Hugh Johnson, baby. Follow Jimmy around. Follow Uncle Jimmy around, baby.
All right. This one's gonna annoy you when I say this.
You're gonna say Stetson Bennett, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I'm gonna say Max Duggan.
Lord. You kidding me, Stoots?
If you're taking Stroud, you got to take an emergency quarterback. You have Mr. Irrelevant for a reason.
Gone, so why don't we take Dorian Thompson-Robinson?
Oh yeah, take him. I like him a lot.
Here we go. Dorian Thompson-Robinson. There's our project.
I would guess Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I would guess that he has probably close to the most starts of any quarterback prospect we've seen in recent memory.
There you go. Got an A.
We got an A?
There you go. You got an A.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So there you go.
It'd be an A plus for Bryce.
I don't like that mock draft. It didn't start off well, but
that mock draft made me want to punch the wall.
Raphael says Landry O'Brien and Cody Easterby. I'll take the OB. Cody is more Easterby than me, so
I got better jokes than Easterby.
Max says, I bet these guys suck at fantasy football. You would be wrong, sir. I'm a champion in the most competitive league in the world. You can't beat my format or anything, and I beat his ass. So we're good at fantasy football, brother.
And I was second place this year, and if the injury hadn't happened on Monday Night Football, I would have won. And 2 years ago, I won the championship, and last year I was third place. So I'm actually the best in the league. I'm the best.
The look on your face, someone says when we got an A. Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, that's like me with half the grades in college. I got an
A. Let's go to some of the final comments, final stretch. Double cross swine. I think we can do for 12 and 33. 33 should be best player because there was a decent chance of Dio tackle. So basically just talking about best player. JSM won't be there at 12, and he is a slot receiver anyway. We need a wide receiver 1. There isn't one.
What's there is. His name's
slot receiver.
His name's Jackson Smith and Jigba.
I don't think if you think he's just a slot receiver, they lined him up there because he's a lead at it, and he had awesome guys on the outside. They're not going to line him up on the outside just to put him on the outside.
If you can get open, you can get open. That's that. That's that. Don't overthink this. He's not a number 1, because let me tell you, folks, nobody was pounding the table and swearing that Justin Jefferson was a number 1. And then he went 24th overall.
5th,
and he's
bro.
No, you're talking about Jamar Chase.
No, I'm saying that Justin Jefferson went 5th at his position.
Oh, 5th at his position. I thought you were saying he went 5th overall. No, he went 24th overall. And
he went 5th at his position. Both the Alabama guys, Rager. Who else went? I think there was one more. It was Rager. Help me out. Both the Alabama guys, Rager and Ruggs. Judy.
CD.
Rager and CD. He was 5th at his position. Jefferson was.
Man, what a absolutely stacked wide receiver class that was. Ruggs was coming along before he had the issue. And I like Judy a lot more than the Broncos like him, apparently. Lamb's good. Rager stinks. Jefferson's really good. Ayuk was drafted after Jefferson.
Oh, yeah, Ayuk, yeah.
T. Higgins was at the top of the second round, along with Michael Pittman.
This is kind of like just a random fact, but Ayuk was actually recruited by Alabama to play safety because they had Judy, Ruggs, and all those guys. That's how good freaking Alabama's receivers were.
Arizona, he disappointed a little bit his last year at Arizona State as well. People were not super pleased with his final season, and he ended up testing well and interviewing well and got into a fantastic organization.
Alo asks, what do you think about Hyatt in the second half of the second round? I like Hyatt. He's a deep threat. The Texans need some speed at wide receiver, so I like him. Major Payne says that Deiter plays 3 positions on the O-line. Yeah, and I don't know if he plays any of them good, quite honestly.
He didn't.
Deiter is a versatility O'Brien guy. Remember when O'Brien used to hype guys up that had versatility that didn't do anything that great? Deiter is a versatility BOB type of guy.
Let me tell you about how many positions Deiter played on offense last year. 0. Okay, what a weird career. Starts, doesn't start any. Starts 8 games, gets hurt, and then doesn't even play on offense his final year in Miami.
Bruce says, do you think the Panthers are still going Stroud? Yes, I do, but we'll see. If they're smart, they go young, but that mock draft just effed me up, man. I'm going to have nightmares tonight, honestly. I'm not going to be able to sleep. I think Duggan said get some sleep. Man, I ain't going to be able to sleep now because of that damn mock draft where I had to take CJ. Brian says, are you hearing anything about us getting Lamar Jackson? Dan Orlovsky was saying we are. I hope we stick to the draft. When did Orlovsky say this? I don't. And to be honest, like I like Dan. Like when I love NFL Live, I watch it every day during the regular season. I think Mina's great. I think Spears is entertaining. I think they do a great job, but I only listen to Dan's in-game breakdowns at this point because, first of all, I saw him actually admit to someone that he just says stuff for TV. He said it to someone at 105.3 The Fan. And second of all, he can't even keep up with what he says at this point. And he keeps changing what he says. So when it comes to like takes and stuff, I know that it doesn't matter because it's a different audience all the time. And in the big scheme of things, he probably just think it doesn't matter. But as someone who consumes this information and there's like a fluid thing, people are going to be wrong. But I don't even think he's saying what he believes.
Remember the time he said that what occurred with Deshaun Watson and the Texans was so terrible he couldn't say it on television?
Yeah, and that was weird.
He won't come on the radio in Houston.
Matt Maher, you are a legend, sir. I am the biggest fan of you right now. I could hug you. If you're ever at a game, come through. Drinks on me, my friend. That is my man's right there. He is feeling the Texans. Rodney, we can go with Bijan and use him like Debo. Love the fact he loves Barry Sanders and pattern his game like Barry. Sorry, guys. He's my guy. I love Barry Sanders. I think Bijan's more like Christian McCaffrey. I don't think he's Debo. Debo's not a pure – he can make plays in the open field like Debo, but Bijan is more of a pure running back that can play wide receiver really good, and there's unrealized potential there if you line him up in the slot. Debo is just a receiver that can do everything, but he's more receiver than running back, if that makes sense. So I think Bijan's more McCaffrey.
Hollywood Brown went before Debo. Ooh.
Yep.
Bad job there.
Not a great look.
Bad job there. We didn't even mention we're talking about wide receivers. I know you like him. I like him a lot as well. Oklahoma, Mims. I really like him. Marvin Mims.
Rod says we can go with Bijan using like Debo. We already talked about that. If we get Bryce in the draft, this team will win the AFC South next year. Heard it here first. Okay, I love that optimism.
Let's worry about hitting the over on the win total first.
Yeah, what is the over right now?
I would guess it's 3.5.
Brown Chubby Bear, do you think we can wait until the
I'm not looking at the screen because I'm looking up win totals. Is he talking about next year's draft?
He's talking about 5th round running backs.
No.
5th round running backs.
Pass.
The heck are we saying there? By the way, don't when people be giving super chats and stuff, don't be getting in my business on that, trying to solicit them over there. HD, figure your own stuff out, sir. Goodness gracious, sitting there trying to solicit my man's right there. Bubba Homeschool. Let's say Texans do not love Bryce. Should they take him anyway just because we're desperate? No. I mean, as much as I like Bryce Young, if they don't like him, don't take him. I don't think you should draft a quarterback just to draft a quarterback, but
you better start falling in love if you don't love him.
Well, they might not. A. Gonzalez, are you guys more partial to JSN if we get Stroud at number 2? No, my love for Jackson Smith and Jigba is not tied to any other quarterback at all.
I am pro Jackson Smith and Jigba regardless of the QB.
Appreciate you, Cap. Thank you very much.
Very generous Texans, Cap.
That's where we're at there. Anything else you would like to add, sir?
I'm good. Kind of wish the center position was a little bit better, but outside of that, Nick Caserio's checked off a lot of boxes. I feel like I'm kind of like an ungrateful kid after his birthday or like after Christmas or something. Because like Caserio's had his best free agency to date, and I keep worrying about the damn center position.
Primetime asked about one of my favorite guys, Denzel Mims. I don't know why Mims isn't being talked about more, but he's going second round. I think Mims is going second round. So
I just talked about him for 30 seconds. You no-sold me a second ago.
Someone else says that you have Chris Farley vibes. How does that make you feel?
It's an honor that you would think that I have Chris Farley vibes. Big fan of Mr. Farley.
Big fan. You think he would have lasted long? Like you think he would have been straight?
If he had two really interesting projects that he was working on when he died. He was going to be Shrek instead of Michael Myers, and I believe that would have been successful. And he was working on a dramatic picture. He was going to be in a biopic of Fatty Arbuckle, who was a fat comedian in the first half of the century. And it was going to be like people believed that Farley was taking it real serious and was going to have like a Oscar type performance for that role.
All right.
And then he had a little bit too much fun one night.
All right.
Can't mix drugs. It's a bad deal.
Yeah, he went down like Belushi, so
that was his idol.
Like his idol. Fun day though for the Texans. Stutes, appreciate you, man. Very much.
Appreciate you.
Keep fighting the good fight. It's been a fun day. Holler at me later, man.
Adios. Thanks for having me.
All right, brother. It's Cody Stutes. Appreciate everyone for coming through. Appreciate all the love. Shout out to Matt, all the other dudes for pulling up. Tomorrow, 10 to 2, Sports Radio 610 Central on the Odyssey app, etc. Going to have John McClain in the building, 2 p.m. Always going to be fun. Appreciate all you folks for coming through. At Landry Locker on Twitter, at Landry Locker on Instagram. It's a fun time. The encore for Nick Caserio was more active than Sunday. Seems like the vibes are pretty good. People that weren't satisfied with Caserio's approach seem to be kind of a little bit more excited, and it's going to be fun. And we'll keep these going. We'll keep these pop-ups going. We'll keep the if you missed the breaking news stuff, we'll get into all that. Don't need to predict the wins yet. We'll wait till after the draft. But this is fun, and no matter what happens, we're all in this together. Appreciate everyone for riding. Pull up. I go live probably a few times a week? George is asking. A few times a week, as much as I can when there's news. We'll definitely probably be an every day thing, especially at camp, because we'll be live on the field at camp, and we'll keep you covered. So appreciate you. No matter what happens with the Texans, just remember when it comes to this Texans game, we are all in this together. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. And I'll talk to y'all tomorrow, 10 a.m. on the radio show, and then on here as well.